The Ballad of Casey Jones is a cornerstone of American folklore, etched into our cultural memory by country music titans. The melody proved remarkably resilient, crossing over from early folk and country to become a 1960s counterculture staple, famously adopted by the Grateful Dead, engineer riding his iron horse straight into eternity. But folk songs are designed to be sung, not studied. They sand down history's complex, rough edges to give us a simple hero, neatly obscuring the terrifying mechanical reality of how that man actually died. Strip away the cartoonish veneer, and you find the real John Luther Jones, a flesh and blood man from Kentucky who earned the nickname Casey. Casey was fiercely ambitious and obsessed with punctuality. His peers claimed people could set their watches by his train, but that reputation came at a steep cost. His record showed 9 past citations for bending the rules to keep a schedule. In the early 1900s, the railroad was a deadly, heavy metal frontier. Pushing a steam engine to its limits meant constantly flirting with catastrophe. Curious, deliberate. To understand why his name survived a century while thousands of other railroaders faded into obscurity, we have to look past the sheet music and examine the split-second life-or-death decisions he made on the foggy morning of April 30th, 1900. It begins in Memphis, Tennessee. When Casey took the throttle of the powerful engine 382, he was facing a daunting 75-minute delay on the southbound passenger run. Determined to make up the lost time, he pushed the massive locomotive to extreme speeds. Tearing through the rural Mississippi darkness, engine 382 hit nearly 80 miles per hour, a blistering pace on the light rails of the time. His aggressive driving worked. In the first 100 miles, he shaved 55 minutes off the deficit. Confident, he turned to his fireman, Sim Webb, and told him the engine had her dancing slippers on tonight. But that lifelong obsession with punctuality was fueling a highly dangerous sprint. By running so fast in low visibility, Casey was closing the gap on a set of variables completely outside his control. Ahead of him lay Vaughan Station, where a bottleneck of 3 delayed trains was attempting a clumsy maneuver known as a saw-by to clear the main line. During a maneuver, an air hose broke on a freight train, locking its brakes, leaving a caboose and several cars stranded directly across the main passenger track. This blockage sat just beyond a sharp left-hand curve, entirely obscured by thick, swirling fog. Leaning out the left side of the cab, fireman Sim Webb was the first to pierce the gloom. He spotted the red marker lights of the stranded caboose looming on the tracks and screamed a warning across the boiler. At 70 miles per hour, Casey faced the ultimate physical dilemma for an engineer, an impossibly short stopping distance, colliding with thousands of tons of unstoppable forward momentum. Without hesitation, Casey ordered Webb to jump into the darkness to save himself. Webb threw himself from the gangway, surviving the fall with cuts and bruises. Left alone in the cab, Casey initiated a desperate sequence to kill the train's speed. He slammed the air brakes into emergency stop, violently threw the reverse lever to fight the momentum, and pulled the whistle cord to blast a final shrieking warning. Engine 382 plowed into the caboose and ripped through 2 fully loaded boxcars of hay and corn. The locomotive derailed and rolled into an embankment, killing Casey instantly at his controls. By remaining in the cab and bleeding off as much speed as physically possible, Casey absorbed the brunt of the fatal impact. Because of his actions in those final 5 seconds, every single passenger on his train survived. The official paperwork told a very different story. The Illinois Central Railroad's accident report placed the sole blame on Casey, concluding that he had recklessly ignored warning flares and flagmen on the tracks. But the local railroad workers knew better. Wallace Saunders, an African-American engine wiper and a friend of Casey's, coped with the tragedy by humming a tribute tune as he worked in the rail yards. While the corporate investigation prioritized liability and blame shifting, Saunders' song preserved the profound emotional truth of a man who stood his ground to protect his passengers. Saunders' authentic tribute didn't stay in the yards for long. White vaudeville performers quickly acquired the rights to the song, reportedly trading Saunders a simple bottle of gin for the melody. When the song was published in 1909, the writers added scandalous, fictional lyrics, suggesting Casey's widow already had another papa on the Salt Lake line. This commercial twist sparked an agonizing 50-year battle for Janie Jones to clear her name. The commercialized ballad warped the facts and caused his family deep pain, but it achieved something remarkable. It shielded Casey's final sacrifice from corporate erasure, proving that in the end, it is folklore, not official paperwork, that dictates an eternal legacy.